In chapter 6 of the Cloven Viscount, Medardo meets and falls in love with a girl named Pamela. She's described like this. He sees her, and it says, so he decided to fall in love with Pamela as she lay plump and barefoot in a pink dress, face downwards in the grass, dozing, chatting to the goats, and sniffing flowers. Pamela's an interesting girl. She belongs in nature. She's a shepherd who keeps pet animals like a pet duck. But when Medardo says he decided to fall in love with her, you've read Romeo and Juliet. You know nobody actually decides to fall in love. This isn't a natural or normal love. It might be a little bit of lust, but told like you would tell it in a children's story. And the funny thing about her is she knows that he's evil, but she kind of likes his attention. It says in the story that, for she realized that the Viscount had fallen in love with her, and she picked all the half daisies and took them home and put them among the pages of her mass book. My sisters used to do this, and when they were little girls, they would pick flowers and leaves and things like that and press those things in the pages of their books. She's doing it in her mass book, her church book. So Medardo seems to be following her, and everywhere he goes, he cuts flowers in half, including the parsnip flowers. And it says this, "Dear, oh dear me," she said to herself, "so it's really me he wants." And she gathered the half parsnip blossoms in a bunch to slip them into the frame of a mirror over her chest of drawers. So he does this for her, but she always saves those flowers because she kind of likes it, the attention. She even asks herself, she says, well, he wants me, he really does. How will it end? It's funny, it's interesting. Pamela has to tell her parents that the Viscount has fallen in love with her, but her parents are very strange, weird people. I think her father lives in a barrel or sleeps in a barrel, and her mother sleeps up in the haystack. It seems like mostly the animals live in their house. But when she's telling them, she's going to say, "The truth is," said Pamela, "that the Viscount has fallen in love with me, and we must be ready for the worst." You know, she's kind of enticed by the fact that he loves her, but she knows that he's evil, and she knows that he's deadly and dangerous. The next morning she goes and meets him, and he gives her a half of a bat that's been cut in two, and half of a jellyfish that's been cut in two. And it describes these images with some imagery. But only Pamela would know that that means he wants to meet her later on the beach. She seems to have like a connection to him that you wouldn't normally have. The Viscount's going to tell Pamela, "I've decided to fall in love with you." And Pamela is worried because she asks him if he's going to tear her in two like he does everything else that he loves. But even though he's in love with her, what he essentially wants to do is lock her up in a tower somewhere where she won't be free. And Pamela is, even on a symbolic level, the symbol of free. You should notice that she's always outside, she's always with her animals, she's always sort of at one with nature. That's where she really belongs. So he says to Pamela about this tower, "You'll come to the castle. The tower where you'll live is ready, and you'll be its only mistress," meaning she's going to live all by herself in this lonely old castle tower. And she says to the Viscount, "You can have me." In fact, she says, "You want to keep me prisoner there and then get me burnt in a fire or maybe eaten up by rats. No, no. I told you, I'll be yours if you like, but only here on the pine needles," meaning you can have me, but only out in nature. So as you read on in chapter 6, I want you to notice the connection between Pamela and nature. That permeates the whole chapter. I also want you to notice the connection between the narrator and Pamela. It says that he's a little boy, but he used to sort of stand guard while she was bathing, and he used to peek at her while she was naked. It's just, well, you can think of that whatever you want. Later in the chapter, it talks about how the uncle has taken up hunting with a crossbow. It makes him seem even more scary. It tells the story in chapter 6 of the Viscount coming across Dr. Trelawney. And he says this. He says, "My uncle said, 'Can you explain, doctor? I have a feeling as if the leg I have not got were tired from a long walk. What can that mean?'" In other words, he's cut in two, but he can feel his other side, and it is tired from a long walk. This is foreshadowing. The other half of the Viscount has been walking since the war and is coming to Tarabla to join our story. Now, if this Viscount is evil, what will his other half be like?